What was your reaction when you first saw Bronny's dunk?
Well, first of all, Skip, I had no idea he was going to dunk this basketball because he's traveling at such a high rate of speed. He's on the left-hand side. He has the ball in his right hand. Normally, what happens is guys lay the ball up with their left hand because the defender is in between them and the basket. So I had no idea. Because he's traveling so far, and you watch where he lands, it lets you know just how fast he was traveling. Being an old track and field guy, Skip, I was a long jumper. And what you try to do is build up as much speed as you possibly can on the runway, take off so you can fly through the air. You go back and look at history, the great long jumpers from Bob Beamon to Mike Powell, to Carl Lewis, Dwight Phillips, Echeverria. Those guys had tremendous speed on the runway. Bronny James dunked this ball traveling at such a high rate of speed. I still don't know how he pulled it off, Skip. You don't see very many NBA players dunk the ball in their right hand on the left side with the defender between them and the basket. So it was very impressive. It got my attention.
Me
and
too.
Skip, every time I watch this young man play, he gets better and better. He gets better and better. He's shooting the ball better.
He is.
He's handling the ball better.
He is.
He was always a defender because he'll play the passing lanes. He does a tremendous job. I don't know where he was ranked at the start of last year compared to where he's ranked now. I think right now he's the number 39th ranked senior in the country by ESPN, number 43 by 24/7. He's a four-star recruit. Scored a game-high 25 points yesterday. But, Skip, if you watch this man blossom from the time that he first enrolled at Sierra Canyon to where he is now, you can tell he's putting in the work. Now, he hasn't, Skip, the thing that's working against him, and maybe some people say it's working for him, is that his dad. The comparisons are always going to be there. Having a son and knowing what my son went through, because every time he didn't do something, your dad would have done that. Your dad could have made that play. You're not as fast as your dad. You're not as big as your dad. You're not as good as your dad.
What do we give Bronny? 6'3"-ish?
Yeah, that's what they list him as, 6'3".
All right, go
But,
ahead.
Skip, and I think that's also, if he was 6'8", and was being able to do this now.
Agreed.
Because if you look at Allen Iverson 6'6", is different than Allen Iverson at 6'1". LeBron James happened to be 6'9" and extremely athletic.
Yep.
Athletic 6'1" guys don't get the attention that an athletic 6'9" guy get. So LeBron James Jr., Bronny, that was an unbelievable display of athleticism. Skip, I had no idea. I just thought he was going to lay the ball up, and I'm saying, well, if he's going that fast, it's still laying the ball up when you're traveling that fast. It's going to carry him pretty hard off the backboard. So he was between a rock and a hard place, and I believe he did the only thing that he could do is that he dunked it. And I think he caught the world by surprise. He damn sure caught me by surprise, Skip, because I still don't know how, at that rate of speed, the ball in his right hand, he was able to pick the ball up and get it over the defender into the basket on an outstanding play. You won't see very many NBA players dunk the ball like that with a defender between them and the basket going at that rate of speed.
Okay. I agree with every word you just uttered. Now, I'm going to step back before I focus just on the dunk. And I'm going to say, for the record, I have always been extremely positive when it comes to Bronny James.
Yes.
In large part, in the biggest picture, because this young man has always stood so strong underneath the burden of the name he was given.
Yeah.
LeBron James, LeBron Raymond James, named him Junior. LeBron Raymond James Jr. Listen, it's the ultimate burden to put on your firstborn. And this young man has stood so strong underneath it that it appears that he is unfazed by it.
Yeah.
Do you sense that? I mean,
I do.
I'm not that close to the situation, but from a distance, I don't. It doesn't appear to bother him, distract him.
No.
Irritate him. He always seems very even keel with it.
Skip, you remember on the shot when LeBron was having the discussion, he asked him, he said, well, what do you want to do with this? He said, I want my own name. I want to make my own thing. He says, okay, let's get it.
Okay. Well, at least he is Bronny, so it took on a whole different identity.
And LeBron said he changed his name.
Yeah.
He's the one that started calling himself Bronny and not LeBron Jr.
Okay. Now, I've also been very impressed with this young man's basketball progress, because I'm with you. Every time I see a highlight or an extended reel of him, I say, he's getting better.
Yes.
He has his father's gift for seeing it before it happens and distributing the basketball. he looks to be a little better outside shooter than his father
Yes.
is, just a little bit better.
Or at least at that age.
At that age. And yet, this play took my breath away because I saw some athletic ability that I see more in Bryce than I see in Bronny. Bryce seems to have more of LeBron's explosive athleticism, but Bryce has been a late bloomer. I've been very positive about Bryce. Okay, so it shocked me last night when my tweet exploded because I wasn't criticizing Bronny. I was merely commenting on a young man who is going to be a focal point for this show and everybody else from this point forward, because I'm going to remind everybody, Bronny is almost 18 years of age.
Yes.
And I'm going to remind everybody that Bronny is going into his senior year and that we constantly discuss on this show, in 2 years, will he be good enough to play alongside his father in his father's year 22? Year 22. Will Bronny be good enough to be a first-round pick or a second-round pick at 6'3"-ish? I don't know. Could he grow to 6'4"? Maybe. But usually by this age, wouldn't you agree this is about it?
Right.
Wouldn't you say 6'3" is probably going to be
unless you're Anthony Davis or David Robinson.
Yeah, that took off. Yeah. Okay. So the point is, when this took off, I look back at my tweet and I said, I didn't intend this as criticism. I intended it as a commentary on what I saw, because I said, hey, Bronny, this is my tweet, impressive. But your dad would have dunked it left-handed. His dad is ambidextrous.
Right.
And most NBA players, remember, Bronny goes coast to coast on the play.
Right.
So he gets up the head of steam. Then he crosses over his defender and gets him backpedaling a little off balance. Then as he goes up, I'm expecting it to be a left-handed slam. And at the last second, almost like spur of the second, he decides to dunk it with his inside hand on a much tall. The defender looks like he's 4 inches tall.
Exactly.
Right? Well, you're dunking it right into the teeth of the defender.
Correct.
You're risking he's going to get a hand on the basketball, if not make you eat the basketball, right?
Correct. Yes.
Like tie you up with a hand on the ball.
Correct.
Okay, so that surprised me, but my last line, but you sure got away with it, though, because he got away with it because it was so fast. It was lightning fast dunk, and it took, you could see everybody in the arena, they were just knocked over by it because you didn't see it coming because it was so last second that the 6'3" kid, he's going as fast as he can run with a basketball. Right. Boom. And he one hand slams it with his right hand into the. Okay. So I'm just commenting about this. Well, I don't read my comments on Twitter. So at the end of the night, Ernestine, who's barely speaking to me, thanks to you. It's thanks to you. You did it to me.
I just broached the topic and you just took off.
And she says, well, you did it again. I don't look at my mentions. And she said, I'm getting a bunch of Google alerts. You're getting ripped for ripping this poor kid. Like, you got to lay off the kid. And she was on, as usual, LeBron's side and Bronny's side. You got to lay off him. And I said, well, number one, I didn't rip him. Number two, he's almost 18 years of age. And number three, I tried to explain to her that there are three huge narratives right now in the National Basketball Association. Number one, where is KD going to play? Number two, will Russ ever be traded for Kyrie straight up in some way, shape, or form? Will they trade places? And what's the third biggest narrative, if not it rivals number one and two, is will LeBron be able to play with Bronny and or Bryce, but just Bronny, let's just keep it to Bronny. Will LeBron be able to play with Bronny within 2 years? Will Bronny go to Duke? Will LeBron manage to get the rule rescinded somehow that he didn't have to deal with? Because remember, when LeBron was 18 years of age, he's played an NBA game at Sacramento and scoring, what was it, 25? Okay, well, so Bronny's of age where it seems like it's fair game to comment on his growth, on his development, because we need to know.
Well, I just think the thing is, people took it as that you're trying to compare an 18-year-old to arguably one or two best players in NBA history, and I think that was where the fallout came from, Skip. Not that you were saying, oh, your dad would have dunked that. It's like you're making a comparison between Junior and the dad. And I think the thing is for me, is that I was thinking right-handed player, he's going to get to his dominant side, which is the right side. And then now I got my body. Now I can put, but he's dribbling with his left hand, which lets you know that he's been working on his handle with Phil Handy. He's dribbling as fast as he is with his left hand. All of a sudden, he shifts it back to his right hand with the defender between him and the basket. He goes over him.
Okay, but again, his father has I always say it,
yes,
has the highest IQ in basketball, and it's like father, like son, and I'm sure his father would think the same thing. It'd be, LeBron would say, damn, he dunked it with his right hand.
But Skip, you have to understand, although he's very athletic, you're talking about off-the-chart athleticism with a 6'9" guy in LeBron James versus a 6'3" guy in Bronny. I believe Bronny is more athletic than Bryce is, but I think with the height, Bryce is a better shooter than his dad and Bronny is at this age. At the very same age, Bryce is the better of the shooters. Now, you see Skip, he's starting to sprout. He looked like he's like 6'5" already. Was he a freshman? So he looks like he might have get the dad's gene as far as height.
Okay, and yet, I need to make the point. LeBron has never, ever tried to protect Bronny from the spotlight.
No.
Like, he's welcomed the spotlight.
Right.
He has thrust him into the spotlight via social media. He's constantly playing Proud Papa. He put up the video. I love the video the other day with the three of them just rotating, dunking at
Handy.
the Laker facility.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing because that's the first time I looked at Bryce and I said, wait a second. Bryce can get up. And just the movement was more LeBron-esque, and the power and the physique, and I don't know. So Bronny is going to be in a spotlight, and I think he loves being in the spotlight.
Well, I think the thing is, Skip, is that LeBron understands because LeBron went through that gauntlet. LeBron lived it and came through the age. And so now he's like, I can't shield him from everything. He has to become his own man. He
could have tried. He could have kept him completely out of spotlight, but he put him right in it and said, you grow up right before our very eyes, and he did. I'm just telling you.
I think Bronny embraced it also.
Oh, did he?
I think he hadn't shied away. He understands what comes with the territory. Living in a household with a daddy that's as popular, that's as well-known, that's as criticized, as highly criticized as he is. LeBron James is... What you try to do, Skip, is that you try to prepare your kids the best way you can to enter into this world. Because the world is not fair, the world is not nice, and there are things that's going to be said and done to you that you're going to have to overcome, and Daddy can't protect you. Once you leave these four walls...
Daddy never protected him.
No.
Daddy fire-tested this kid. He put him right out there for everybody to see. And wittingly or unwittingly, I believe that Bronny became... Is this fair to say? The most famous high school player since LeBron James?
Well, Skip, they said...
Well, how could he not be?
He might have like somewhere between 3 and 5 NIL deals, but when he goes to college, $3 to $5 million in NIL deals.
Okay, is he going to go to college? I don't know. Is he going to go straight to the G League? Is he going to play a year overseas? What would he do?
I think that's something him and his dad, which one is going to prepare you the best to get ready to come into the NBA. I think that's something that you have to look at.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.